Welcome everyone. You were listening to and perhaps watching Hot Sauce Sports. I'm assuming I'm on because once again I did not get a countdown. I hate this. This pandemic is terrible. I am Pizzel Rees. I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, the cap adorning Kerry Tam.
If I take this hat off, I will be. I'm sweating I just came back from boxing. I'm sweating. My hands stink. I swell. My girlfriend hates me, but thankfully she helped me build this new office that I like. That it's in my bedroom. Also, just letting you know.
So when I'm hearing that, it sounds like you're talking about boxing, but also you can use the same thing to just describe masturbation.
Yeah, so I mean,
she hates you. You're sweating. She helped you build an office.
So it's open to interpretation at this point. You know what I mean? So you can figure it out. People have their own minds. Peas.
That's true. They do have their own minds.
Yeah.
That is factual. A person on our show with his own mind is our producer, the Eagle at Master Control. Eagle, how's it going?
Hello. And yes, I do think for myself, I am not part of the hive mind.
Well, we're counter hive mind. As a show, we like to make fun of things in pop culture and in sports.
Wait, does that mean we think the same? Are we hive mind?
Yes, we're a different hive mind. We're a separate hive mind, like double hive.
How many hive minds in a mind?
Well, it depends. Because if you're mindless, none. So we did bring on someone today, though. We're going to talk to someone later today. They have an approach to betting and gambling, sports gambling specifically, that's going to quote unquote change your life. Andrew Pace of
inplayLIVE.
inplayLIVE. That's it. inplayLIVE. They're going to be joining us. Was him and a faithful subscriber, a testimonial, Brendan Keiller. I have to be honest. I had my doubts going in. You know me, Terry. I'm very skeptical about everything. And it was like everyone claims to have a system, but in the conversation we haven't had yet, I learned that hey, you know what? There's something to this. It's interesting. He is looking at sort of the same type of market inefficiencies that we see in baseball and basketball that change the game completely. So if those can exist in game, why can't they exist in in-game betting? And that's sort of their approach.
And that's the thing is like, yeah, so I was a little skeptical a bit too, because I don't really know what it was. But when somebody tells you, hey, dude, get ready, you're going to make some money watching sports, I'm always like, okay, I don't believe you. And because I've been watching sports since I was 5, and I'm probably in a negative at this point.
Oh, I can guarantee you.
I feel like I haven't watched any sports. I feel like I haven't watched sports in a really long time. The last thing I kind of watched was Saturday Night Live.
Well, yeah, for sure. Dave Chappelle had his opening monologue. He hosted Saturday Night Live. Eagle, thank you for getting us on track and for reading the script.
As usual.
I love that he preambled with, I haven't watched sports in a long time, and we both know that's true.
It's like it was the best bad segue ever.
Yeah, Eagle was just a good teammate right there. Eagle, you know that game where Clay Thompson like dribbled twice and scored 37 points? That's Eagle's life. That's Eagle's life 1,000%.
I wrote a blog about how Taysom Hill is the ultimate plug. Like they call him the Swiss Army knife because he can do everything. Eagles are Swiss Army knife.
Eagle is
our. I'll plug you whenever you want.
And he is a fucking.
Get that on a t-shirt for you, Eagle.
I'll plug you whenever you want. That's a good one.
So, did you have a chance to watch the Dave Chappelle intro on?
I did. I watched I haven't seen the episode, which I will watch. I think you can catch it on Global or whatever it is. But I watched the monologue on YouTube, and can't disagree with a lot of the things he said. I mean, the thing about Dave Chappelle is that he has a certain way of delivering something that makes sense to everybody. I don't care what side you're on. You know what I mean?
Correct. And so that's the cool thing. Is like. When you hear Dave Chappelle on SNL right after the election, you're like, this is going to be divisive. But it really wasn't. Like,
especially the way he ended it, too, you know?
Yeah, because you kind of have to be an asshole to disagree, right? Like, he's not saying anything negative about anyone, really. He's just making observations that are clever and are largely funny. And the thing that's happened with Dave Chappelle since he's returned from his... time away when he quit the Chappelle show, went to Africa, did the whole thing. When he's come back, his whole outlook's been different, and he returned to an atmosphere where literally our best journalists are largely comedians, which is a strange turn of events. But also, he's the next level kind of comedian, right? Like he's kind of that Richard Pryor level, George Carlin.
He's one of the best comedians of all time.
Absolutely. Like you know, if you want to do Mount Rushmore, it's hard to build a Mount Rushmore of comedians without Dave Chappelle. But he's also become sort of the philosopher of our age. Like it's I don't even know how that happened. And I was marveling at not only the types of jokes, but the degree of difficulty on jokes, because he's making jokes about COVID and about the presidency, about the election. But
on live syndicated TV.
On live syndicated TV while smoking. And he didn't take any of the easy bait, right? Because there's so many easy jokes to make. There's so many easy jokes to make about Donald Trump refusing, to concede, right? There's so many jokes about the voter fraud. Like, it wasn't about he felt like he was going to go down those holes, and then he would take like a 90-degree turn and make a joke about something else that's kind of related, but it's not the thing you were thinking he was doing. And I find that manipulation of words and ideology is just brilliant. People were complaining about it because it wasn't like you're going to laugh for 16 straight minutes, but I thought just in terms of observational interest and the difficulty of landing those jokes, I thought was absolutely incredible.
I was going to say the one thing that caught me off guard is that some of that stuff was extremely difficult, like you said, and you can kind of tell it was still a work in progress. Like, the setup and the punchline was there, but it was sometimes a little bit too subtle. So, some of them kind of fell flat. There was one about the women not making enough money, the 50 cents one, that I was like, I know what you're getting at, but I don't get it. And I had to really process hard. And by then he's on to the next one. So
the best part about that one is
it was a little bit fresh that he has to also work on cleaning the material.
Yeah, so I think it's because the material is so fresh because of the situation is so fresh. A lot of these comedians
they had the announcement of their presidency that morning, right? Yeah. So he had 10 hours to write the jokes.
But also his jokes, they're 10 hours. But these jokes usually they take months to perfect. These comedians, it's not they come up with a joke and it's funny. They work at it for months and months and months. And the whole thing with that joke was really funny. Then at the end he's like I don't know if it's 50% or 70%, but it's too much.
I love it. That joke made my wife laugh so hard.
It's fucking a joke, but the thing is what he said, and he talks about Trump, and he's like how he makes these jokes, and he said the Kung Flu virus, and he's like, motherfucker, like I should be saying that joke, not you, because you're racist, but you're still, it's fucking funny as shit. You know what I mean? Like
it's still funny, but you shouldn't be saying it. It's my job, not yours.
You shouldn't be saying it.
Yeah. So the thing is, in watching it, and I was reflecting on this, Terry, because we had on comedian Ben Cardilli during the pandemic, and we had sort of some long form interviews during the pandemic, which I thought was like a really cool idea. And it's, given the sort of the Zoom and Skype interactions we've been having, it lends to long form interviews in a different way than when we're both in studio. And when we talked to Ben Cardilli, we talked a lot about sort of the process of writing jokes, and I've always found that really interesting. And there's things that I'll bring up on the podcast, and it's like, I know for myself, it's a joke that I've been working on and writing and refining sort of like over time, and it takes sort of weeks to come to shape. And then I then need to find the topic that fits that joke, right? And similarly, when you see a guy like Dave Chappelle, what I find interesting is most comedians will write material and tour that material for a year, for 2 years. Dave Chappelle had his Netflix show, and then then another Netflix series. Then he had that talk on YouTube about George Floyd, and then he had this, and then he was on David Letterman. And it's just like he has, the themes are very similar because that's what's going on in the world today, but he has new jokes, he has new material. Every time you see him, that's incredibly difficult to do. It's incredibly difficult to do.
There's very few people that can do it, and him and Bill Burr are the two that are constantly just the most consistently funny guys. That they're current all the time. They're always current, and they break it down to what they're saying is you can't refute.
Yeah.
Because what they're saying is factual, and they say it's so fucking funny. Their delivery is unbelievable. They're literally masters and black belts at being comedians.
I always liked Louis C.K.'s delivery, but then he got me the wrong way. So.
Well, the thing that was great about Louis C.K. was that he touched on some really deep areas that was like, wow, I can't believe you can write it. Writing that kind of joke's really difficult. But then when you find out he's actually a creep, it makes it difficult to deal with, right?
Well, I mean, how much of a creep is he? He's just like, stand over there and I'll just jerk off right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
well, you know.
you don't have to stand there. It's like, what? He's not holding you down.
I mean,
No.
he did ask, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but
of all the canceled comedians, he's probably the one that was like the most polite about it.
Yeah,
he
he
was
is, like-
creepy.
no, I'm sure there's a Canadian canceled comedian. They'd probably be more polite.
I guess. Yeah.
But so I found that to be particularly interesting. I thought it was great. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. I remember hearing someone once talk about Martin Luther King and said, well, the reason why you don't hear people dispute Martin Luther King the same way they'll dispute anyone else talking about racial injustices, if you dispute Martin Luther King, you're kind of just a dick. Like, there's nothing he said that could possibly be interpreted as like, nope, that's too far, you're wrong. Dave Chappelle kind of is like, it's weird to compare him to Dr. Martin Luther King, but like, it kind of feels like he speaks to both sides in a way that, again, you can't really contradict. It's factual. It's funny. You might not find it funny, but you know what he's going for. You know what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Dave Chappelle is very. It's what it is. It's on the forefront. There's nothing behind it, and I mean, you can't question somebody else's let's say truth. You know what I mean? He speaks in very. This is what my experience was, and he tells a story, and in that story, if you're disagreeing with his story, then you're just an idiot because you're that ignorant. You know.
Terry, you know what else you can't disagree with?
The news.
The news. It's time for the news. Terry is the news.
Nope.
Well, it is.
It's not the news.
Big Ben of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, he came down with COVID, and the first thing that struck to me was I'm surprised because he's not usually good at getting things like consent. My wife just walked in, and her reaction was, "Jesus Christ!"
You're not gonna let it go, I guess, huh?
0%. That and the NCAA, I'm never gonna stop.
Never. So, how did he get it, and how is nobody on the Cowboys affected by it so far?
He didn't actually get it, right? He was put on like the injured reserve or whatever because he was in contact with people. So,
okay.
I mean,
see how loose they are with these fucking COVID cases, man.
Well,
I don't believe it.
They have a protocol, so they test people. So to prevent spread, anyone who came into close contact has to go on the list and has to pass a protocol. So they're not claiming he has COVID. They're saying he may have and needs to go through testing.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
So what's interesting, though, is you ask how he got it. My question is if he knew he was getting it from someone he shouldn't be. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The thing is, the one thing I find suspicious about the NFL is they keep saying how there's no on-field transmission. And I don't know a lot about big bodies smashing into each other except on Saturday nights, but I will say it's hard to believe that they don't get stuff from each other.
Especially when they're like piled on top of each other and the spit is flying everywhere. You know what it is? It's because they don't exchange jerseys anymore.
That's what it
is.
They don't
the
put
NFL said,
jerseys
you
on
can't
pads,
swap jerseys. Yeah, you can't swap jerseys.
Don't remember, they have those little like things that like vibrate when you're too close to someone or whatever it is. So, you know, when everyone starts colliding at the line, then they all just dissolve and go back to their benches and it's all good.
So I have a question. This COVID alert thing in Quebec where you can register the app, where you can register and you can see if you were in 15.
It's Canada, it's not Quebec, by the way.
Oh, Canada, whatever. Well, I'm not doing that. Conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat is telling me I'm not putting my fucking more information out there. They already have enough. They don't need.
So I know a developer is working on it. It's actually very anonymous in a way that, like, I'm always worried about things spying on me because I'm a crazy person. But to be honest, given the fact that I freely put all sorts of my garbage on Twitter and Facebook, there's not a lot of stuff about me that's not known. So I did ask about it. I did ask, and there's not a lot of tracing that's involved in that. It's really it really takes a whole bunch of codes and looks at whether or not your code has come into someone else's code that has been contaminated. It's not looking at you specifically. It's not tracking your location. It's not using your GPS data and so on and so forth. I know that factually to be the case.
Okay, all right. So I guess I feel a little more comfortable with it, but I'm still not doing it.
I honestly,
you had these problems with
100%
technology
with you,
and you didn't ask me? Like, really?
No, but because the thing is, like, I was actually 100% with Terry. I had all the same reservations, but I know someone who's currently working on it, and it's actually really impressive in a way that I got kind of hard, and I didn't think a software about pandemic tracing would get me hard.
If you think you got hard, you should have seen me.
Well, to be fair, we know about your tripod, Eagle, so no one gets that hard.
Yeah, I see your fruit roll up tucked in your tight jeans.
Yeah,
Thanks,
those
man.
jeans are so tight, by the way.
It's so tight, especially around that area.
But I will say, to the Eagles' defense, they're only tight on the cock.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Around that area, so
it's not the jeans that are the issue; it's the cock.
Keep you away from my girlfriend, Eagle. I know she already has a crush on you. Imagine.
I'm coming for you.
Exactly. Guys, I hate to say this, but I think Phil Rivers is getting old.
I think he got old a couple years ago.
Well,
but
what's impressive though is, don't forget, he's the same age as Eli Manning, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that Eli looked so bad for so long and Phil Rivers is only kind of starting to look bad is kind of impressive.
Well, the thing is, he already had no motion in his throwing motion. Like, he already had no flexibility in that shoulder. Now it just looks even worse. You know what I mean? And he fell down on that interception the other day. It's like, I love you, Rivers, man, but I think it's time. I think it's
maybe the California climate kept him young, and now that he's in Indy, it's all falling apart.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe that's why, like, Peyton Manning left, right, and went to Denver and everything, because the air is crisper and everything. Maybe he lives longer, and he was like, yeah, Indy, I'm gonna die here.
Indianapolis is where people go to
medicinal
die
marijuana.
of boredom.
That too.
Indianapolis is where people go to die of boredom. I think marijuana is legal in Indiana. I think they have the same system as Colorado.
So I will say, I don't know a lot about Indianapolis. I do know one thing.
A lot of pickup trucks.
Whether or not drugs are legal in Indianapolis, it does not prevent you from getting them anywhere at all.
Even if they're legal here, I can still go across the street right now and get some.
That's true. That's
for real. There's a dep across the street that for sure you can just ask for any kind of drug.
I went to that dep last week. So
the one in front of my house?
Yeah, I got sparkling water.
How ghetto is it?
It's pretty ghetto.
It's pretty bad, huh? And it
Like,
smells.
you see bad.
When you walk in there and it's like, it just like there's like this musk that hits you.
Yeah, it's foggy. Can
yeah.
Foggy? Because that place is foggy.
Very foggy. I don't know what it is. I think the people used to smoke in there and the smoke just stayed there. Yeah,
he never opened the door, so it just sort of lingered. So that's what happens.
Yeah, they're good people though.
They are. Honestly, those places are the lifeblood of our community.
Of course.
How fucked was it to see Kyle Allen get that injury on FedEx Field a year and a week after Alex Smith suffered his injury? And then, like, it looked pretty bad. Like, it looked similar. It's a broken leg, same kind of thing.
His ankle just turned the other way. It was really disgusting, and I feel bad for Kyle Allen because Kyle Allen's like he's kind of reminds me a bit of Alex Smith, where it's like he's good, but is he like he's not good enough to stay in a system. So it looks like he's just gonna be bouncing around for the next couple of years until he eventually just fades out, becomes an offensive coordinator or something. That's basically what I see him doing, or becoming a very good golfer. I don't know.
I feel like there's certain quarterbacks that we just have an affinity for because A, they seem like genuinely nice people.
Yeah.
B, they're not like threatening to any other teams.
Not so Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph's an asshole. You can tell.
Yeah, he's an asshole. No, but like I mean, like Ryan Fitzpatrick is in that.
Great guy.
Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, like all these guys who like they won't threaten your, like you see them in a room, you're like, you're not taking my girl, you're okay, and at the same time you're not beating my team, it's okay. Like you're fine. I'll stream you for a week in fantasy. It's okay.
That's it, exactly. I mean, I like Kyle Allen. I mean, I hope it turns out well for him, but he'll be back. He's a young guy, and he's good enough. So it's crazy the amount of injuries that are happening this year, and to add on top of that all the COVID situations, and the fact that they added an 8th team. I don't know if that's the next topic, but they added another team in the into the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting this year.
So I saw that. It's actually not in the script, so we'll talk about it now. I set up a segue with fantasy, but whatever. Let's just jump into another thing.
Skip.
So when you see this, and you see, so first of all, there was a seventh team added, and for the first time ever, Terry, for the first time in like 20 years, I saw this graphic on the screen that said, projected to meet the playoffs, Miami Dolphins in the seventh seed. I was like, oh my God, they extended the playoffs just for Miami to get in. I'm honored.
So just to explain, because I actually haven't seen these yet. First seed gets a bye, 2 play 7, 3, 6, 4, 5, and then it's top 4.
No, it was a play-in game. For
7 and 8.
And now they're adding the 8th team. So once they add the 8th team, I think it's just going to be a straight playoff.
But it's not going to be 1 to 8. I think they're going to have. You might have 2 bye weeks. I think there's potential that some teams might have 2 bye weeks. So you'll have a week 1 will be a bye week. Then you'll drop down to, for the top 2 teams, then you'll drop down to 6. And then those top 2 teams get another bye week. Then you get to 4. So if you finish in the top 2, then you're potentially getting 2 bye weeks, which is, I don't know if that's an advantage.
I just don't get it. Why are they doing this for? You're making the season longer. You're creating more potential for injury.
It's about game checks, because you need to remember, Eagle, that the NFL is a unionized environment. So people think of football teams as private entities that can do whatever they want, but it doesn't work that way. The teams and the players have an almost equal share, not quite at the same level as the NBA, but there's kind of like a discussion to be had on all these issues, and the players want more games to be played to a degree where they make more game checks, right? And so if COVID risks them losing money, it's easy to agree to them to playing more games, and then the NFL can sell more ad money.
So I'm looking now, there's 3 wildcard games. So there's 6 teams playing that. So the top 2 would get the bye. And then there's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8 teams left. There's 4 teams left in the divisional round. So so you're getting 2 bye weeks. That's crazy to me. It's not an advantage. I'd rather finish 3rd.
I'm inclined to agree. So Chris Carson had an interesting reaction to fans and fantasy players criticizing him for missing a game because he's injured. Terry, you've played, not professional football at all, but you played college. You played Canadian college football, right? Like you played CJF football.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say if a football player says he's hurt, it's not because he doesn't want to play.
Yeah.
Football players want to play, but if they're physically unable to go, like they're warriors, if they can't go, it's hard to call a football player soft. Am I right?
So 2 things. One is if I message Chris Carson, I know he's going to answer.
We should ask him to come on the show.
Yeah. 2, those guys, a lot of those messages were funny. It's like, hey, dude, you're ruining my team. You're ruining the Carson name. Get off your ass. Like, it's a lot funny. And I think that he's probably more frustrated with the whole situation that he lashed out like this. And what do these guys expect? Are you going to talk shit to a professional athlete like that's given his entire life to the sport and he can't play because he's injured or whatever the case may be, and he's not going to act that way? Those guys are the types of guys that go into bars and yell at the TV in the middle of the fucking game because they think they're the only guy that cares about their fantasy team. They're the guys that are in a fantasy league or 2 fantasy leagues and tell the other fantasy league, oh, in my other league, this is what I have. When people don't really care about what you have. Those are the types of guys that message Chris Carson, not normal human beings. Yeah, assholes that don't care about anything. Meatheads.
We have a friend in common who is very much like this, who will insult celebrities and athletes. And I always look. Yeah, he recently got banned from Facebook. So a 7-day suspension. He shares your heritage.
Oh, really? Oh, he's banned from Facebook?
Yeah, for like a week.
I didn't even know that.
So what's interesting though is I always look at people like that and I'm just like, I can't put myself in a scenario where I would angrily message someone I don't know and criticize their work. So like imagine like after the OJ trial, you message like the prosecutor, be like, how could you not put him behind bars? What's wrong with you? Or like you hear that a 6th grade teacher forgot to bring crayons. Like, bitch, how can you do that? Like what kind of person do you need to be to attack someone who wants to do their job well and just is unable to on that day? Like, if you took a sick day from work, Terry, at Hot Sauce Sports, and someone was like, "What, motherfucker, you let Peace go on by himself? You're a piece of garbage. You're soft."
Imagine we get chirped like that. Oh, actually, you know what I do in some of my articles, because my articles are just, there's no proofreading.
Yeah.
And there's very fact checking involved. So I get ripped on all the time. Dude, this article's dog shit. Okay, all right. Thanks for reading. Thanks for the click.
The thing I got ripped on the most, by the way, was seeing that Cam Newton would sign with the Patriots. That I got hammered for that. And
of course,
look where he signed, by the way. Did you watch the Tampa Bay Bucks Saints game?
Yes, I did.
It was hard. It was hard.
It was hard to watch, yeah. But the thing is that you kind of expect this to happen with Brady this year. It's like he's old, and no matter how good he is as an old man, he's still old, and he's gonna have these games. But where Brady excels is the playoffs. He doesn't excel in those random games in the middle of the season. Yeah, okay, it didn't look good for the Bucks against the Saints both games this year. But what are the chances they play each other in the playoffs? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I heard. I think it was Dan Levitard of ESPN once said, like, the way aging happens is it doesn't happen all at once, especially with quarterbacks. Is that they can still quarterbacks and basketball players, they can still conjure up a semblance, like they can bring out a good game, they can bring out a moment, right? But can they string it together? And that's kind of what you're seeing with Phillip Rivers. But like, Phillip Rivers is secretly 76 years old, where like. It's just all falling apart, but like there's still moments, like there's still throws where you see Phillip Rivers, you're like, yeah, that's a Hall of Famer throw, man. Like you are what you are. But like Tom Brady has those moments where a couple of weeks ago he forgot it was 4th down, or the ball that doesn't get to the sideline where he thinks it's going there and it gets picked. And I remember I learned that lesson as a Dolphins fan, praising everything that was Dan Marino in my youth, right? And Dan Marino, in retrospect, probably hung on 2 or 3 years too long. And in that last playoff game where he's making a throw that he's made 1,000 times in his life, where his brain just goes there and says, that's open. I'm throwing right there. That's open. And the ball gets intercepted 5 yards too short. That's the brain, the NFL caliber brain is still there. But the arm is fading, the body's fading, the legs are fading. And you're seeing that a little bit with Brady. Even though he's put up these great numbers, he's still not capable of doing all the things he could do when he was younger.
He's been able to extend his career because of the way he takes care of his body and his health and all that stuff. But it gets to a certain point. Like with fighters, it's the thing that they always say the first thing to go is your chin, and with the quarterbacks, the first thing to go is your arm. It's legit. The first thing to go is your arm.
It's legs, right? So like your legs die, so your arm dies.
It's not necessary. He's not really a running back.
Saying, like legs in terms of like being able to step into throws and.
Okay, maybe yeah. So the first thing you do is your power to throw, because your arm is just dead from literally 30 years of doing the same motion over and over again, and no matter how much treatment you do, I think Brady, he's finally looking human. And he was never like, he had a couple of years of like the 50 TDs and stuff, but for the most part, Brady was always like statistically just an above average quarterback statistically.
But to your point, Terry,
he does well in the
delivered
playoffs.
In the biggest moments, right?
And he's probably going to deliver in the big moments this year as well. He's not going to just sit back and say, "Oh, my arm is not good." And he's going to play next year too, and he's going to play fine next year too. He's not going to end his career throwing 10 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. That's not going to happen.
Maybe, but I see the Dan Marino thing on the horizon where the ego is bigger than the arm at one point, right?
Yeah, I mean, the guy really, he changed his face. He plastic surgery his face.
So. Yeah, the ego is there. Like, we know it's there. The one thing I did love about this game is I think Jameis Winston is kind of awesome in the same way Nicolas Cage is awesome. Like, Nicolas Cage is not, I'm going to say this one time, and I'll never admit to saying this again. Nicolas Cage is not one of America's greatest thespians. I know. Give me a second.
You're a terrorist.
I know, but we love him. Like if you ever take Nicolas Cage away from me, I will punch you in the dick. Like right on the tip. Right.
He's making a movie about, I think, a jiu-jitsu movie.
He made it. He made it.
He
I haven't
did?
watched it yet.
Oh no.
I haven't watched it yet. It's got to be
scared.
amazing.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
It's called Kick in 60 Seconds, but
there's no kicking in jiu-jitsu.
it's called Punch in 60 Seconds.
There's no punching in jiu-jitsu.
It's called Jitsu in 60 Seconds.
There's a lot of jitsu in jiu-jitsu.
Nice.
There's a lot of jitsu is literally 50% of jiu-jitsu.
It's true. It's at least half.
At least half. Yeah.
If you count by letter, it's more. But Jameis Winston's kind of becoming the Nicolas Cage of the NFL. Like we love Jameis Winston because if you're watching the game, if Jameis Winston comes on red zone, you know something awesome's about to happen. It's not a 7-yard out. It's a pick six or it's a touchdown. There's no other way about it. And we all made fun of him on this show. We made fun of him eating the W, and he does it in the locker room after this game.
Did you see his pregame warm up?
Sorry.
Did you see his pregame warm up?
Yeah, the salsa dance, Dak Prescott style.
Yeah. I posted it on the hot sauce account. It was cringeworthy to watch. And then that W, he didn't go full W though, because on the original clip he's like, I want this, and he starts like deep throating it. This one he just kind of like kissed it a bit.
Just a tip.
So, at least I think he's aware.
That's what I'm saying. So Nicolas Cage at this point, he knows that we're laughing with him, right?
Exactly.
And so I feel like Jameis Winston, he's bought in where some guys would just take it to heart, get angry, like Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf would just kick someone in the face. When you see someone just take it on that persona, you gotta love it.
You got it.
The opposite of this is Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
Tony La Russa has not yet been fired by the White Sox. When he got hired, I was like, okay, well, Renteria did a good job with them last season.
Yeah.
And then he gets fired in favor of La Russa, and I was like, why? And then I was reading something where they talked about Tony La Russa being the opposite of the analytics scam. Tony La Russa started this movement. He was the guy who brought in arms off the bullpen. He was the guy bringing in setup men and then the closer. All the things you've come to hate about baseball, it started with Tony La Russa.
Like pitch management and all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but because he's so old, you assume he's old school. But he's the beginning of the new school and the worst version of the new school.
So the thing about Tony La Russa is I consider him just kind of like the Masters. You know how you win the Masters, you can play forever. Like Mike Weir is playing this weekend, and he should have no business being on the court. I mean, he's on the court on the course. And Tony La Russa is the same thing. There should be a statute of limitations. When you retire, you should be you have 5 years to come back. And if you don't come back in those 5 years and you have X amount, there should be a success rate to keep you active. Basically, you have to earn the right to coach. You can't be hired 10 years from now using the same fucking things. And you can't be hired when you're 75, 80 years old because you're probably going senile. You know what I mean? On the Masters this weekend, I'm watching Mike Weir, Phil Mickelson, Fred Couples. They're all playing and they're all not going to win.
Bubba Watson also not going to win.
Well, Bubba Watson, at least he's more recently a winner in 2015.
I understand, but
17, sorry,
Bubba
3 years
Watson
ago.
Bubba Watson won 2 years after his prime, and now that was 4 years ago. So he's
2017. He won 2017, 3 years ago.
But that's what I'm saying. He's now almost a decade out of his prime. It was a surprise when he won.
He's not that old,
isn't he?
Bubba Watson, I feel like he's probably our age, closer to our age.
Yeah, that's not great though. It's not
a golfer to be 35 years old isn't bad.
Well, now it is.
Now
you see the youth movement, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, when Eagle get his age while you can. But in the meantime, when Tony La Russa was arrested, he screamed out to the police officer, "Don't you know who I am?" My goodness,
it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate. My dad's gonna sue you. You know.
Yeah. It's man. It was just the height of privilege. And it made me think, I don't know about you, Terry, but when I'm mega drunk in public, which is far too often. My first call is to Eagle to get me home. I don't drive myself. I
Eagle produce a car to get me home.
Legit, the quote he had was, "Do you see my ring? I'm a Hall of Famer baseball person. I'm legit. I'm a Hall of Famer, brother. You're trying to embarrass me. That's what he said. Just imagine.
I'm trying to
like,
embarrass
that's
you
what have to
because
do.
you're driving drunk and potentially killing people that live in the city of the team that you're trying to coach.
I did get a targeted ad today from Barstool Sports, and it was a T-shirt that said, "I'm a Super Bowl. This is a Super Bowl ring, brother." And it was just genius. I love those guys, man.
I love it, man. They know what to do. That's for sure.
But like honestly, Eagle, like is it surprising to you that Tony La Russa doesn't have an Eagle?
Yes, I mean, granted, maybe he likes to drive, but yeah, you should. I mean, in the age of Uber, you should absolutely have a private driver if you're that big in terms of the fuck you money. Like, it makes no sense.
Like, I'm gonna do a lot of things wrong in my life. Don't get me wrong.
So Bubba is 42 years old. Good job, Eagle.
See, I told you he's older than you think he is.
But he looks young, though. He looks younger.
He does, but he's been playing a long time.
I mean, I guess I have this affinity for him because I'm a lefty and he's a lefty. You know?
I'm also lefty. I love Bubba. I love Mike Weir because he's also a lefty.
I love Phil Mickelson because he's a lefty.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of lefties that are good nowadays.
That's true. Well, because most courses are geared for right-handers, though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, most PGA courses anyway.
Yeah. Terry, the Chris Paul looks like he might be on the move. The trade that's been most rumored is him going to the Suns.
I feel bad for this guy because he's always the guy that's tradable. When every team he goes to, he basically like takes over the locker room and really leads them the right way. So I think that it's a good move for the Suns to go out and get him because they have such a young core. And like 2 or 3 years ago, we're talking about the Suns. Like in 5 years, these guys might be a contender and things like that because they're so young. Obviously, we didn't see that this year, but I think Chris Paul.
We did, but we saw in the bubble though. In
Exactly.
the bubble, they won every game, but they didn't make the playoffs because they were so terrible in the pre-COVID season.
So I think Chris Paul can help them a lot. Like a guy like Booker would benefit a lot from having a leader like Chris Paul around. Chris Paul is one of my favorite personalities in the NBA. So, I really respect that guy. I like him a lot. He's a great player.
Like, I am the NBA guy, and I like contract talk. I like CBA talk. I know I'm a fucking geek. I'm a loser, whatever. The thing is, he has a $41 million salary. He's skyrocketing to a $44 million salary next season. In the NBA, you need to match salary to make the trade. So the Suns have a lot of young pieces. And when you're looking at the Suns, you're like, oh, well, once they get Chris Paul, they're going to have Chris Paul and Booker and Ayton. And I know that like to trade Chris Paul, you're going to have to take on a piece like Ricky Rubio. But you're not going to just take Ricky Rubio. Like, you're going to want one of those young pieces because you're giving up Chris Paul, right? Like, yeah. So it's going to either be some of that three-point shooting contingency that they have around Booker, or it's going to be, I don't think the Suns won't trade Booker, but it might be Ayton. It might be DeAndre Ayton, right? Like they're going to have to lose a piece to do that. And I don't know if the Suns are willing to part with one of those two big pieces. Like is there a big piece on the Suns that you can see that's not Ayton and not Chris Paul that you think they'll be giving up? Because how do you convince them it's worthwhile? Because they have all these key contracts with it, which are valuable, but who's trading?
You're gonna have to sell the house. I think that you're gonna have to sell the draft, all your drafts, first round picks for the next 5 years.
For sure, but
the next 5 years.
So the guys I'm looking at, like Mikal Bridges, Cameron Payne, one of those two is gone for sure.
But not enough. They need something else.
But that's what I'm saying. Like maybe Kelly Oubre Jr.
Yeah. I just don't. I hope it's not Booker, and I mean, I think I keep on mentioning
it. Can't be Booker.
Because I mean, that's it. Yeah, it's crazy to me. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe Oubre, but he's the only thing I can think of. And with 3 first round picks, 3 second round picks, like just do it.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, the fucking thing.
If you're making your team, the complicated thing about trading the NBA is the first 7 picks or so are valuable. And then after that, it's kind of a crapshoot where they might be valuable, but it's harder to predict. So, if you can give up, if you're making your team better, then you're making the picks value worse. So if you're taking on Chris Paul, you're trading your picks, but at lesser value at the same time that you're trading them, right? Like it makes it very complicated to manage.
I think they have to do that now because they have high draft picks, right, for finishing so low. So I think the best time to be doing now. But
Well, yeah, you're gonna get this pick for sure.
yeah,
And you have to get. There's not a way to make this trade where you don't give up Ricky Rubio because the money. And then, like I said, you need to dig deep. You need to give up Mikal Bridges, Payne, maybe Oubre. Like you're gonna have to give up valuable pieces, but that's okay because if you can keep Ayton, Booker, and Chris Paul, you can build the rest. Right? Like you don't need 12 great players. You need 3 and then guys who can fill a role.
well, I think that's what we saw in every single team that was in the Final Four last year. You just need 3 or 4 max, and then you're good to go. So I mean, Chris
Except
Paul
the
is
Heat somehow. The Heat. I told you. I think I mentioned this in October that the Heat are the best team in a different sport where you play 8 players at the same time.
the Heat are they're a better hockey team. They'd be a very good.
Yeah,
hockey
exactly,
team,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Very good hockey team. Like they can roll 4 lines. They can do all that. I think they're an excellent hockey team.
But that's why they're in the talks for trades. For example, for Victor Oladipo, because having that depth allows you to make trades. It doesn't allow you to win. It allows you to get the trades to get you in place to win.
Exactly.
Pat Riley's done that forever.
I was actually watching. You mentioned Pat Riley. I was actually watching recently the Pacers versus the Knicks, and it was Pat Riley coaching versus Larry Brown, and it's just beautiful to watch. You know, two of the ultimate best.
Absolutely,
it's crazy. I love the Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing, John Starks on the Knicks, and then on the Pacers you had Rick Smits, Mark Jackson, Reggie Miller. It's such a fun series to watch. They showed it all on NBA TV. I was watching the other day.
I love old basketball.
Yeah,
I grew up in that time. You and I grew up in that time.
And I wanted to talk about it because
say,
I know that it's your type of basketball, and I know you would appreciate it. It's best basketball to watch. That late 90s, early 2000s.
So I actually disagree because just the speed of movement, the speed of ball movement now, and the shooting, like the shooting in the 90s was garbage. Oh. Like when guys made a 3, it was almost a surprise.
Well, because you had 3 7-footers on every team.
That's it. But now you see Damian Lillard pulling up from midcourt, and it's the shot he's choosing to take. It's not like he has to put it up in the quarter. He's putting up with like 4 minutes left in the quarter, and he's making it like a 52% clip. Like it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Anyway, we're gonna get talking about some serious sports betting. We're gonna talk to the guys from inplayLIVE. We're gonna talk to Andrew Pace and Brandon Keiller right after this.
This show is brought to you by Mike's BBQ Rub, home of the best rubs in town, and La Sauce barbecue sauce. Peace.
Just like Rubbercraft, I can't resist a good rub down, and Mike's barbecue sauce is the best rub down in town.
So visit Mike's BBQ Rub, MTL.com, and use Hot Sauce 10 promo code for 10% off on all individual bottles. That's Hot Sauce 10 for 10% off. And don't forget to rub your meat peas.
And we're back. And by that, I mean, obviously, we recorded this show in order, and this interview was not recorded before the show. Joining us now are 2 boys. Well, one dude actually from inplayLIVE. His name is Andrew Pace, and he's brought along live testimonial Brandon Keiller. Brandon and I go back some time. Steelers fan, so we're not going to hold that against him too much, I don't think. But yeah, so Terry, these guys, they are going to change not only our lives, but the lives of our listeners with a different take on sports gambling and how you can make money watching sports, the thing that you and I love to do the most, obviously more than exercise, because look at us.
Yeah, because all I do is gain weight and lose money gambling, so this is perfect.
Yeah, it's our 2 favorite things, absolutely. Yeah. Like pizza and gambling debt is it's on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See, I'm the CEO of gaining weight on my LinkedIn. That's what it says.
Yeah, so pretty much, Pete. So I reached out to you because so recently I joined this membership. Okay, so it's called inplayLIVE. All right, I joined it on August 19th. It was during the Stanley Cup playoffs. So what happened is, once I joined this program, basically what the program does is it teaches you sort of a different mindset towards sports gambling. But me, what's really cool about it is I was never a big sports gambler at first. So I would do predictions. You guys know the predictions on Mise au Jeu there, where you have to choose like.
I won $17 once because that's how many people won.
Yeah. One time I went.
I picked all the favorites that week.
Yeah, well, I
So
think I
did,
won
so
one
did
time,
everyone.
13 out of 14 one time. That's the closest I got. So anyway, that was the closest for me to when it came to betting. So what happened was, so I found this Facebook ad, okay, and it was Andrew's inplayLIVE membership program. So what I did is I signed up to it. At the beginning, yeah, I was like skeptical and all, like everybody, because everybody, there's a negative aspect when it comes to gambling. You know what I mean? So for me, when I first saw it, so the way it was sold, it's called sports value investing. So I thought that's pretty cool. So I decided it was around 65 bucks a month. So I signed up to it. I was like, okay, it's worth the risk. If at worst, I'll cancel. You know what I mean? So I signed up. I followed Andrew's strategies, and honestly, so this was August 9th, September 19th, which is 2 weeks into football season. I already made $10,000. I only spent $500 on Bet365. So basically, what it did, it was just like, it just changed my life completely. So me, what I wanted to do is to reach out to you guys, because I want to get it out to our community, because it changed my life. I know that you guys are deep in sports like I am. We grew in the league for a while now. So I wanted to have Andrew on this podcast. I wanted to reach out to you and let's get it out to everybody.
That's awesome, man. I mean, Andrew. We're speaking to Brandon. I don't know if we introduced him. So Brandon, that's you, and we just heard from Brandon, and we have Andrew, I guess, CEO of inplayLIVE, or you work for inplayLIVE. What's the status there?
Yeah, so I guess my story, just really quickly, guys, not to drain all your time up on the podcast, but
take as much time as you want, buddy.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for having me. So, I've been sports betting probably, as you guys can all agree with yourselves, for over a decade. Kind of like what Brandon said, it starts with a few buddies making some parlays and some predictions and picks on a Sunday. And just for me personally, I was kind of came from an investment background, and I just hated losing. And when it comes to sports betting, that's what they're designed to do over time. They're super fun, super exciting, can be super addictive, but ultimately, they're there and they're designed for the sports books to make money off of us over time.
Vegas always wins, right? We hear it all the time.
Yeah, exactly, right. So a light bulb kind of went off when it came to applying value investing strategies to the world of sports. And one of the best analogies that I like to tell people about is a roulette wheel. Everyone's gone into a casino before and they've placed a bet on a roulette wheel before. There's 18 red spaces, 18 black spaces, and oftentimes there's 1 to 3 green spaces. And those green spaces, they act as the vig. Black and red technically are not a coin flip because of those green spaces. So when you place money on red or black over time, it doesn't matter which one you pick, you're going to lose money. And in the world of sports betting, what I like to kind of have people imagine that you walked into a casino and for whatever reason, that particular day, 90% of people were betting black. And so much so that the casinos decided that they wanted to actually mitigate their risk. They wanted to not have so much risk on paying out the people that bet on black. So they actually make red more favorable to bet on so that it doesn't double your money, but maybe, you place $100 on red and you actually get $120 back. And that's precisely what happens in the world of sports betting, is that the public favors a certain side so much so that Vegas and the sports books will actually mitigate their risk by making one side of the game actually theoretically profitable from the standpoint of it being better than a coin flip to hit. So if we have, say, the Kansas City Chiefs at home playing the Jets, the public might think that the -10 line is too soft. So they'll bet the Chiefs, bet the Chiefs, bet the Chiefs, bet the Chiefs, to the point that that -10 line might actually end up at -14. And when that happens, the theoretical pregame coin flip was actually at -10. So if we can grab the underdog at +14, theoretically, you can make money over time. And what I actually did, everything I just explained there was a pregame sports betting philosophy. And what I did is I went, if this can happen pregame, how can I take investment philosophy and apply it to in-play betting? And that's when my life completely changed. So I was able to take a very small amount of money and turn it into hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this season I started with $10,000 and I'm up over $125,000 since the start of the season. And honestly, what the real breakthrough for me wasn't actually doing it myself anymore. I knew that I could do it successfully on my own. A lot of people think what I say is too good to be true. But the real joy in it has been people like Brandon, where we started this company 4 months ago, and we didn't know if it was going to work. And now we have a whole series of people like Brandon who can come in here and say, hey, I took a couple $100 and turned it into over 5 figures using our philosophies. So really what we set out to do was just to kind of take guys like yourselves. Like I myself am in a touch football league. We play every Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m. before the games start. I play quarterback. So
wait, they make it 7:30 in the morning now?
Yeah, well, we're on the West Coast. The games start at 10 a.m. here, so we have to be done, showered, clean,
oh my God, no
ready
kidding.
to go,
Yeah.
right? But I play quarterback, so if you guys are ever looking for a below-average quarterback in your league, let me know.
Pease is a way below average quarterback.
I'm the most below, like I'm even below average. So
Yeah.
I'm twice as bad. So
like you said, below average. You're a below average. So maybe we should bring on Andrew.
There you go.
Because then what do I do?
Yeah, but honestly, that's like our group of friends. I looked at it and I was like, if I'm successful enough at this, I think it's something that deserves to be shared, so that people, like Brandon and like yourselves that love sports, you don't need to make a primary income from it, but you can at least stop donating, part of your paycheck to the sports books every single Sunday, right?
Sports interaction
special, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Andrew, what I'm getting, and obviously it's going to be more complex, and you have your system, and I'm happy that I didn't have to get a teaser out of you, because sometimes we get someone who wrote an article or someone who has something that they want to sell, but they're so scared to give a bit of that information away. But that's how you get people involved. That's how you get people to buy in. So I'm happy I didn't have to do that for you. What you're talking about largely, and I'm sure there's more to it than that, is you're looking at line movements, right? Because you're looking at to see where the money is going, and because Vegas, as Terry started the interview with, Vegas always wins. Vegas will move against the money, and then essentially you're siding with Vegas to a degree, right?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the strategies that has been profitable for me, and definitely something that I look to do. But I would say that that's kind of scratching the surface in the grand scheme of what we're actually doing. If you wanted to take that same analogy to a whole nother level, imagine, you know what, I'll just give you an exact game. 2018, the Dallas Cowboys were playing the New York Jets. The Dallas Cowboys line opened at -6, and by the time kickoff happened, it was -10. 90% of the public's money was on the Cowboys. So every sharp pregame sports bettor, these are guys that make a living, they all had the Jets at +10 against Dallas in that game. What I was doing in that particular game was actually not only seeing the amount of pregame money that had moved the lines in play, but also during the game as the Jets were beating the Cowboys. Guess what every degenerate Cowboys fan does? Right? Dump more money on Dallas. So not only they were dumping more money on Dallas. So not only did some of these pregame professionals have the line, I like to call it a boring 1.9 or -110 line before the game started. Not only did they all have that, which was a winner. The Jets won the game and they covered the spread. But from an in-play standpoint, they maybe profited 1 unit at the end of that game. Whereas in that game, we can oftentimes profit as much as 20 or even 50 units just in one game from capitalizing on all those people continuing to favor Dallas throughout the game and getting really sharp in-play props and lines throughout the game as it's happening.
So February 5th, 2017, Super Bowl 51, third quarter, Atlanta's up 28-3. You're taking the Patriots.
I can't see who just asked me that question.
Wait, it's our producer. He's in the background. He's not good. He's not good looking enough for TV.
Exactly. He's not as pretty as us, so he's off camera. Exactly.
So one of our core philosophies, we actually call it the comeback, and that's where we look for momentum swings on the money line for teams to come back. I had New England in a big way in that Super Bowl, but there was actually a tremendous amount of value in another New England Super Bowl that we're not referencing right now, and that was the New England Patriots against the LA Rams. So Brandon knows this all too well. One of our chapters, we refer to what the fans hate, but we love. And everyone the next day after that Super Bowl was talking about what a shitty game it was. And it was so unbelievably profitable for us because everyone's hoping for a really high scoring, where the favorite covers type football game, and when it's going the other way and the ball isn't moving, we're right there capitalizing on not just the plus and the under, but every single play in between.
See that, but I've often said this, and I believe this to be true. If you bet the under, you're a terrorist.
I bet the under twice last week. I lost both because I'm a fucking idiot.
You're terrorist. Right
and on to that same note, guys, with this whole COVID thing, there's more points in the NFL than ever. So one of the biggest things that we do is we constantly adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Boys, listen. Boys, we don't honestly. It's rare that we touch that stuff, pregame stuff. We honestly just do. We do a lot of in the drives. We just watch the games in the drive as the game is developing. So you have an edge. You guys know the game, right? So you just sit down, you watch the game, you foresee what's gonna happen. You have your book in front of you, and then we just strike. That's what we do.
I mean, Brandon, you're saying that we know the game, but I'm a Dolphins fan. He's a Cowboys fan. We obviously don't know the game that well. Brandon, so we gave you guys the opportunity definitely to tell us about the product, and it is absolutely interesting. And we're gonna get back to the end of the interview, but we're kind of a stupid show, so we need to engage in some stupidity with you guys. Otherwise,
I have one question.
We're gonna get smashed on Twitter. So I'm gonna start with one, Terry, and then you got the next question.
I actually have a couple of questions.
Brandon, what did you spend your 10K on? How much of it was strippers?
And how much of it were those TVs in the background?
So I made like 40K. So my first 10K went to my wife. My second 10K, it's still in the bank, and the other 20K, waiting to be spent.
The bank is a weird
TVs.
name for
We need more
strippers.
TVs. Bring them on.
So I have
stupid question. Let's go.
My stupid question is how can this help my golf game?
No, baby.
Nothing? All right.
Oh, no, man.
Whose question is that for?
For Andrew. If I use this concept, can I shave 10 strokes off my golf game? That's what I really want to know.
No, you're going to have way more fun golfing. The world of sports betting opens up your eyes to betting on every single thing that you could possibly fathom. And golf is just so much more fun that way. We've bet on, shotgunning per hole based on making putts, skins with every extreme example of anything you could possibly bet on, right?
My wife doesn't know this, but my day of golfing consists mostly of bets. Like, for the amount of strokes I take, you'd think that that's the thing I'm doing most often. No, it's making bets. Andrew, what's the most degenerate bet you've made in your life?
The most degenerate bet. Anything when it talks to degenerate bets. I was telling this story actually today on our inplayLIVE podcast. I had a 20-pick teaser 2 years ago. Down to the final pick, and it was Miami Dolphins. So who's the Dolphins fan?
This guy right here.
Miami Dolphins against the New England Patriots. I needed New England to cover 3.5. They're up 5 with the ball with 2 minutes left. They punted it back to Miami with how many seconds on the clock? 10?
Yeah.
5?
Not much.
Miami Miracle. I would have won 14,000 on that teaser. But the Miami Miracle got in the way.
See, my most degenerate bet was I was highly inebriated with a friend. We ordered a pizza. My order was make it happen. And I gave him 3-1 odds that it would be all dressed over pepperoni. And pepperoni came in, unfortunately. So it's what it is. It wasn't a huge bet, but that's the most degenerate bet I've ever made.
So I'll tell you my degenerate bet, then I have a question for Brandon. My most degenerate bet is, on Sports Interaction, I don't know if you're aware of the website, but they have this thing called Piñata Picks.
Piñata Picks!
Yeah. So the Piñata Pick, I've done it a couple times, and I won once. I put $10 down. It was a UFC fight, and it was like Khabib winning in the 4th round by submission or something. And that's what I got. That's what I gave me, and that's what they won. So I won like $1,000 on it. It was 101 to 1. And then I did one where I put $100 down because I'm a fucking moron, and it was Donald Trump getting 89 to 91 electoral college votes. So I'm an idiot. So I just wasted $100. These are because I was being a degenerate. I was trying to recuperate some money. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a quick buck here, 10K, and I was gonna bounce, but it didn't happen. I wanted to be like Brandon.
So you can chase Oregon's late game, but if you're chasing like presidential elections, I think that's a whole other level, Terry.
That was crazy. What were you saying, Andrew?
I got to say two things to that. Number one, with the pinata picks. And this is going to make all degenerate sports bettors feel a little bit better about themselves. There are certain ways to keep your account open. When you're a winning sports bettor, you are not loved by the sports books. We're quote unquote bad customers, and they get rid of us quickly in certain circumstances. Taking bad bets like that teaser I just told you about and the pinata pick, those things actually keep your account in good order. So that's really awesome. Number one.
So it's good to do it. All right, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
The problem is, Terry, that's all we do.
Number two is the election. With our course, we actually cashed in huge on the election, not on the winner. But when you learn enough about different books and different opportunities, and especially things that the sports books aren't used to handicapping, we were actually able to get Trump to win a whole bunch of states at like 2.5 to 2.7, plus 150 to plus 170 in American odds, and Biden on another site at those exact same odds on those same states. So literally just that's like walking down the street, seeing $100 bill and picking it up off the ground.
Yeah.
So it really, a lot of our philosophies, they apply actually universally across, not just across sports, but elections, finance, stock market, etc.
So Brandon, my question to you is, what was the game that you bet on? What was the amount where you're like, I'm sold for inplayLIVE?
For me, it's actually, I'm sure you guys know him now. It's Travis Fulgham. So after Travis Fulgham, so with inplay, we it's funny. You guys are big fantasy stars. So what's gonna happen is if you do join the community, you're done with fantasy. It completely is it changes. It's the completely opposite of fantasy. So when I'm with my brother, he's voting for his fantasy guy. But me, we're voting for the guy, the show, Come On Man or stuff like that.
Yeah.
The guys that we look for before it happened. So for my guy, it was Travis Fulgham. So just Fulgham in general, I think he made me like $7,000.
Oh, wow.
That helps no one. That's who we're looking for.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. I mean, so the concept works. And Andrew, you're an actuary. Did you study math, or because you said you were in finance, right? So what did you study?
Yeah, I was in finance before. I did investments with a whole series of different corporate and individual and family clients. Just teaching the basics of how to get your money into the stock market and grow your money over time. Not anything crazy as far as day trading or options or things like that, but a lot of Warren Buffett type value investing, long-term type things. Yeah. Really boring stuff.
I'm sold.
I always liked the thing I liked most about Warren Buffett was he invested in Dairy Queen back in the day because he liked ice cream and thought Americans like ice cream. Eagle.
The logic.
You have any stupid questions?
My stupid question might be more of a smart question, actually. So,
don't believe
Andrew,
you.
You seem like a smart guy, but I don't think you're a prophet in this, right? Someone had figured this out ahead of you. So why inplayLIVE? Give me the 30-second elevator pitch.
What's actually interesting is the entire sports betting industry is actually geared towards selling picks. So there's a lot of guys out there that charge as much as $500 per individual pick. And the best pregame sports bettors in the world, they have a 3% edge, which means a 3% perceived profit over time. So actually, there isn't really a whole bunch of people doing what we're doing, at least from a business standpoint. So we're kind of the first company to do, we have a masterclass on sports investing. And the masterclass then comes with live streams with me. So you can take what I'm wagering as I'm taking it, and a whole community of people educating each other. So most people are just teaching you, selling you fish as opposed to teaching you how to fish. And I think that's our biggest differentiator in the industry.
So like that movie with Matthew McConaughey there, what's it called? Two for the Money, whatever it's called. So you're talking about those guys. That's what they were before. Those are the guys, the pregame bettors, the 3%ers kind of thing.
Tipsters, they're everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We get a lot of those.
Yeah,
for sure. And so that's cool. Honestly, it's really interesting. I love the approach. It's something that I've used to a small degree when it comes to gambling. Like we said, we talked about the hedging and the betting on line movements and so on, but you guys really take it into the next level when it comes to in-game betting, and that's why you guys are inplayLIVE. That was Andrew Pace and faithful testimonial Brandon Keiller. Really happy to have you guys on. We're always looking at ways we can engage our fan base and get them to just explore different things and try out different things. And definitely gambling is part of our viewership for sure. So I'm sure they appreciate this input. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I will have plenty.
Terry, go get it, Terry.
This show is brought to you by Mike's BBQ Rub, home of the best rubs in town, and La Sal's barbecue sauce, peas.
Absolutely. They will get you satisfied in 12 seconds or less, just like Rick Pitino at that restaurant.
So visit Mike's BBQ Rub, MTL.com, and use Hot Sauce 10 promo code for 10% off on all individual bottles. That's Hot Sauce 10 for 10% off. And peas, don't forget to rub your meat.
It's time for rapid fire. What is the end of a legacy? Alex Trebek passed away from prostate cancer, if I'm not mistaken, this past weekend. Very sad day in game show history. Also, a former Canuck, born in Canada, and actually announced the Ottawa Senators pick this year. There's a video actually circulating around of PK Subban where Trebek gave him shit because he was a huge Habs fan, and he's like, and you left the team. And just overall, just a gigantic loss for everyone.
I knew that he was a Habs fan. I completely forgot. And Alex Trebek is an ultimate beauty. I remember, I was watching Jeopardy the other day, literally the day before he died, and I was like, and he wasn't there. He was doing it via Zoom, but he was still working. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Obviously, it was probably like a month ago they recorded that, and
they filmed their last episode October something, and it's gonna air on Christmas Day. So the last gift to us from Alex Trebek.
Okay, yes, and he's great. And there's all those viral videos of people saying "We love you, Alex." Like the contestants, instead of they bid whatever amount of dollars it is, and they say, "We love you, Alex," and it's great. And I was at Chapters. I was buying a gift for my mom yesterday, and the guy they had Alex Trebek's biography at the counter, yesterday. So one guy pulls up to the cashier, and he's like, he's like, "Oh, Alex Trebek, his book is out, but he just died 2 days ago. How come he had so much? When did he write it?" I'm like, maybe, there's certain ways to go about things.
There's no cure for stupid.
And he kept on asking the same question. Boy, he just died. When did he write it? He was sick. How come he wrote a book? He was sick. It was obviously, just figure it out and made everybody around him.
I like that. When did he write it? With the implication that, do you want him to write it several years after he's dead? So the thing is, celebrities have been passing away forever, right? That's just what happens. People tend to take it hard, and I don't, and I kind of feel like an outsider, and I kind of feel kind of cold. This one hurt. It hurt in the same way that Alan Thicke hurt, in a way I couldn't explain. They just seemed like good-hearted people, and it sucks. And to your point, Terry, he was still doing his show. He was still working, and that showed his commitment to what he was doing. And when I saw him with PK Subban in that video, I was just like, yeah, this is why I like both those dudes. They're just fun-loving guys. If you gave me a list of guys, top 5 guys I wanted to interview for the show, Alex Trebek would have absolutely made my top 5. I absolutely. I'm not even joking about this.
I love Alex Trebek, but I would never would have thought to interview him.
I just, every time I've heard him speak outside the show, he's been super interesting. He you always think of game show hosts as being cardboard. He was the opposite. He just had so much personality. Just a really genuine, nice guy.
And how a coincidence? Last thing, him and Sean Connery passed away. Classic SNL bit.
Yeah,
Sean Connery saying,
that's a good point.
Trebek. So I mean, they're somewhere they're in heaven right now, somewhere talking to each other, and Sean Connery is being a dirty old man and reading the topics wrong. That's for sure. Next,
Mr. Hurricane. A clause in the ownership contract of the Carolina Hurricanes indicates that if current owner Tom Dundon does not buy the team outright this month, he'll need to turn the team back over to previous owner Peter Karamanos. One, who the fuck arranged for that contract? And two, is that going to happen?
No, it won't happen. They've already said that he's gonna match the offer. Well, match the offer. He's gonna make the bid. But Dundon he's a very unique person. He's a very unique when it comes to. He's just one of those fly by the edge of your seat kind of guy. He's good for the sport of hockey, I think, and I think the NHL needs to do whatever to keep him. He's like a free spirit, and I like the guy. A lot of people rip on him a lot, but he's just a very different human being, and I like the fact that we have that in professional sports, because all these cookie cutter owners like Jerry Jones and Kraft and Arthur Blank, we don't need them anymore. We need the guys that just have a sense of humor. Mark Cuban, even what's his name for the Clippers? What's his name? I always forget. The Microsoft guy.
Yeah, we've talked
Apple
about him
guy.
1,000 times. I can't think of his name.
What the fuck?
All right, so I'll do my
What's
thing.
the
while
owner of
Eagle
the
looks up.
Clippers name?
100%. Eagle will look it up as we're going. Steve
What?
Ballmer. That's it.
Steve Ballmer. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apple.
No, not
No,
Apple.
Microsoft?
Yes.
I kind of
Oh.
agree with you, Terry. And
Idiot.
Alex, our intern, was like, yeah, it's karma. And then I looked it up. I was like, actually, I kind of like this dude, to be honest. I think he's 100% going to hold on to the team. This is not surprising to me because this is the same league where George Gillette bought the Montreal Canadiens with having less money than Hot Sauce Sports. He bought.
This is a league where Spanos almost bought the Islanders with $17,000 and tried to play it off as a typo with no money.
My God.
You didn't see that documentary, the 30 for 30 Big Shot?
Yeah, I remember it
Oh,
now,
my
but I'm
God.
saying, how do we not already own an NHL team? This is ridiculous.
Crazy.
It seems like anyone could buy one. Eagle, sell your car. We're buying a team.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next,
Your Toyota.
smoke screen. Apparently, Tim Tebow once refused to call a specific play in the huddle because the name of the play had a cuss word in it.
What was the cuss word?
My guess in terms
Shit.
of what it is a play called Tight Pussy, which is all about penetration.
Well, no. So the thing
Fucking
is,
Eagle, man. Nailed it.
Tight pussy is a good play, but it requires a lot of accuracy that Tim Tebow didn't have. The play was actually called the "oh shit" screen.
Oh, shit,
and
screen. For real? That's what it is?
Yeah. And it was
Come
like
on,
a
Tim.
screen
Come on,
play
Tim.
that they would. Sorry.
Come on, Tim. Like,
That's what I'm saying. So I'm,
Come
you know what? I'm kind of look. I know that Tim Tebow's a man of his faith, but Tim Tebow, shut the fuck up, man. Just call your play. Like, I feel like at this point, he was just doing it to posture. He was just doing it because he said in a magazine he was going to be a virgin. He
Makes
said in
me
a
sick.
magazine, "I love Jesus," and it's not real. Come on, stop pretending. Stop pretending.
unless the play was called Fade Jesus Christ. Fade I hate Jesus Christ, or
Well,
age.
I mean, they have a play called the Hail Mary, so why not the Jesus Christ play?
Well, because Hail Marys are something that people do for
Yeah, but
religion.
hear
maybe
they're
it's
full
like
of
a
grace.
defensive a la blitz, right? Where you send literally everyone, and the quarterback goes Jesus Christ when he sees everyone running at it.
Yeah, I think he'd have a better case if it was called Jesus Butt Plug.
All right, next, some Space Jam shit. John Ram was the man in Augusta during a practice
Play
session
the-
video. What?
Play the video. It's on the Hot Sauce Sports Instagram account.
Thanks for the tag in this. No, I don't have it, obviously.
Okay, whatever.
There's a video taken showing him skipping a ball off the water onto the green and watched it roll into the cup for a hole-in-one. It's a pretty fantastic shot, I'm not going to lie. How is that possible? Like, it just
So
it
it's
seems
tradition.
unreal.
It's a tradition that they do at the Masters where all those guys meet at that hole. I don't know what hole it is, and they skip it off the water. The 16th. And it's a par 3 on the 16th, and they skip it off the water, and it's a tradition. And John Rahm is just probably he's top 3 golfer in the world right now.
Yeah,
so
he is amazing.
and the fact that he pulls this off is just crazy to me. I've skipped the water plenty of times, but it wasn't on purpose. Now there it is.
I've dropped it in the water plenty of times, and we're seeing it skipping. It's
Skipped like 7 times.
hitting the fairway, rolling down the green, and it's nowhere near the hole except it's coming back. It's
This
looping
is
around.
crazy.
It's
I
in the
wish
back.
I wish he can tell me he did this on purpose.
So here's the thing, Terry. When you're seeing this, I actually think it's not entirely on purpose. I don't think he thought he was going to get a hole in one.
Thanks for
But-
following Hot Sauce Sports, Eagle. I don't understand. How come it asks you to
I'm
follow?
not logged in, you idiot.
Fucking doofus.
So what I will say is, when you see that ball hit, I don't think he planned to get a hole in one.
No.
But he knew that was the line to take, right? Because he's not hitting it at the hole. Like, he knows if you hit it to this part of the green,
Backstop. Yeah.
it's going to come back, right? So
Yeah.
you and I, Terry, basically play the same 2 courses constantly.
All the time.
I don't have a single hole I know that well. I don't have the ability to carry it out. I don't even have the recall to remember that on this hole, that's that green.
I
I will
forget
interrupt you
a
though
lot of
because
things.
neither of you have caddies though, right? Because that would be
Yeah.
my job to remind you how that hole works.
But I forget a lot of things. But I forget a lot of things. But I know, like, I can tell you almost every hole that I play at the day of, or maybe the week of, depends on the course. Like, I have a good memory for these things, like the patterns and stuff. Like, okay, this hole I did this hole I did this, but I can't tell you, like, oh yeah, that green has a backstop that if I hit it at the top here, it's gonna curl down here, because I don't remember where the hole is placed. People always change the holes, right, to where the flag is. So the fact that he can pull this off is crazy to me, and he's just an ultimate beauty. Fuck, it's crazy. But another thing is, you see how close the other ball was, which means another guy did that.
But that's what I'm saying. They're all so good that they know that that's what they have to do on that hole, which is nonsense.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Peas, no, it's not me that fucked up. You guys never invite me. Next. And I'm going to do this.
We don't want you there.
No, the one time my lisp actually comes to be a good thing. Iron penis. Mike Tyson used a fake penis to pass drug tests.
Wizinator. Who's the guy that used the Wizinator? Was it Ontario Smith in the NFL? Played for the Vikings. Eagle produced that.
Smith, yes.
It was Ontario Smith. So I mean, who among us has never used the fake penis?
Oh, that's how I got my wife.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't show what you have. It's not good enough.
No, it's not.
I'm pretty good in that department. For me, it's more like I don't want to invite
you have the
person.
tripod.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, Eagle. This isn't a conversation for you, man. Like,
it's not about you, man. It's about me and Terry and our small penises.
Average.
Yes, you have a vagina. I know. But so you need to bring that the first time around, and then once you marry her, it's too late because it's expensive to get divorced. So show that early on. That's all I'm saying. Yep. That's it for this week. Coverage unboxing.
So thank you to inplayLIVE for coming on. I mean, we can. Brandon already emailed me and he sent me all the information, so I'm gonna check it out. Those guys were great, man. So check out inplayLIVE if you want to have a chance at making some good money gambling. It seems like it's they have a lot of a high success rate. So go play along with them, see what they're up to. I know I'm gonna try it. So
yeah, worst case you lose a bunch of money, which we're doing anyway.
Which I was gonna do anyway, man. So.
Terry, you've been wearing a hat. Eagle, you've been awesome. I've been Peas. The guys from inplayLIVE, they've been betting, and
you've been listening to Hot Sauce Sports.
Did it play?
You threw those betting ones in, so I had to cut you off in the middle of it, and then I play it again. So.
Okay, nice. So we listened to Hot Sauce Sports twice.
Yeah. Remember to watch, like, and subscribe to Hot Sauce Sports. I'm Peas. Bye!
All right, I'm out.
See you later.